Hey guys, it's Mrs. Lamphere, and in this video we're going to be looking at the copyright website assignment. And the first step we need to do is make a folder named copyright inside your Unit 3 folder. So I have my portfolio folder, here's my Unit 3 folder. Need to make a new folder and call it copyright. And then add an images folder inside the copyright folder. So go back inside my copyright folder. Need to add an images folder. Okay, then the next step says to use external CSS with at least 4 styles listed. And if you'll notice here, I think this is going to be the first time we are using external CSS. But if we go back to this CSS page in section 2 part E, it tells us for external CSS styles we need to make a separate notepad with all of our styles listed. So we don't need any of the HTML or title tags, we just need to have our styles listed, and then we'll need to save this as firstweb.css inside our Unit 3 folder. And then when we apply the styles, we're going to have to link to this, we're going to have to link to this page and let it know that we are referring to the style sheet and that we're going to be using styles from this page. So what I'm going to do in order to get this external style sheet started is go up to my course homepage, and on the course homepage I'm going to go to this general code announcement and download or open up this general code that I posted for you guys a while ago to help you get started with these websites. So because this has all of these different CSS styles, so all I need are these CSS styles to get my external CSS started. I'm just going to copy and paste those styles into a notepad. Go back to my directions. Okay, so for this assignment we are going to be making 2 different pages, and on the first page we need to present a situation where a person must decide if the use of an image from someone else's website would be copyright infringement. So that goes on the first page. The second page should be your answer to the question along with relevant research from 2 sources backing up your answer. Make sure your website includes the following. Alright, so we're making 2 different web pages. One, we're presenting kind of a scenario where something could be copyright infringement. And on the second page we're presenting the solution and whether or not it actually is copyright or if it falls under fair use, which you would have read about in these previous parts of the unit. So based on that, we're going to need a style for the title of these pages, for the kind of the paragraph text of these pages, and then also for the captions. We'd probably want a background style and so on. So in my notepad, I'm going to keep this background style. Actually, I'm going to keep all of these style names just the way they are, but I will go in and change my background color, change my attributes to these different styles. You should all know how to do that by now. So go in and pick your colors, pick your fonts. If you're wanting to access the color sheet again, I would go to, I believe it's under the colors website assignment, I think, has a good link. There you go, to get all the code for the different color, and so that'll help you apply to these different attributes. So again, you're in charge of adjusting your color, the fonts and attributes to each of these styles. They have to be different. They can't just be what you got on this general code. So go ahead and change those, and then we'll go ahead and save it. Okay, so I went ahead and changed my, whoops, I have an extra pound sign there. I went ahead and changed my background color. I changed my text, the size of my title text, left it bold. I changed the color, left it centered. I changed my paragraph style, changed the text, changed the size. Actually, I want this a little bigger. And kept that normal, changed the color. I left my citation text times and I just made it a little smaller, and I also left it black. So now we have to save this external CSS, and in order to save it we need to go to File, Save As, and we need to stay in I need to get to the right folder here. Web Design, there it is. Portfolio, Unit 3, And let's see, we want to go inside our copyright folder, and we're going to name this. I'm going to name this copyright web.css. So it doesn't really matter what you call it as long as you remember. But I'm calling this is for my copyright website. You have to have the .css file extension in order for it to work. So then hit save. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to that general code. I'm actually going to highlight and copy it again. So like I said, I need to make 2 web pages plus our external CSS style sheet. So this is going to be my first web page. And we're going to have to set this up a little differently now because we're not going to be using all of these styles, right? We've created an external style sheet that we're going to be using. So again, looking at this external CSS code, section 2, part E, this is back in unit 2. So this is how I need it to look. I need my HTML tag, my head tag, my title, and then instead of all of my CSS styles, I'm going to tell it to link to my certain CSS page, and in order to tell it to grab the styles from there. So I'm going to delete all of this stuff as well as this style type link, and I need to type in link href equals, and I called it copyright web.css, relevant style sheet, and type text/CSS. Close tag. And we need to delete this close style tag because we didn't really add in a style, we added in a link to our style sheet. So that the top of your web page should look like this. Okay, the next thing I want to do is make sure that I have this saved correctly. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. So inside my portfolio, Unit 3, Copyright folder, this is going to be my first page. So I need this to be my copyright scenario. So I'm going to actually call this copyright scenario.html, and we'll save that inside that copyright folder. And then I also need my the page that I'm going to make that has the solution on it is going to start out with the same code. So I'm going to also save this again as copyright_solution.html. But now one thing you're going to really have to keep track of is which one you're working in first. So now I have this one, my copyright solution, opened up. So I'm going to close that because I want to actually work in my copyright scenario first. I want to get that page made first, and then I'll put the solution page together. So make sure you're working in your copyright scenario notepad right now. Okay, now I need to do some research. The instructions say I need to have put together a website where we have a scene, a copyright scenario, and then the second page should be what the person should do in regards to copyright and fair use. So I need to do some research and kind of find a copyright scenario that I can work with. So I'm going to just kind of search fair use scenario and see what I can find. So you can, here's a website that maybe talks about, oh, look, it even gives me different scenarios. So I might kind of look through these scenarios, get some ideas, and then come up with my own copyright scenario that I want to include on my page. So take this time to do some research. Make sure that you save your sources. So I'm going to have a Word document open as well. And any sources that I use, I'm going to copy and paste the link so that I can have all the information to cite my sources later on. Okay, I thought of the fair use scenario that I'm going to use. So in the previous assignment, I showed you how to make these citations with the pictures and the images with the cupcakes. Was it copyright infringement that I used these images of cupcakes from someone else's website? So that's kind of the scenario that I'm going to present on my first web page, and then on the second web page I will present the solution. So I'm going to bring my code for my copyright scenario website back out here and start making some adjustments to get it ready for my little essay on my scenario. First of all, let's change. We have this title up here that we need to fix. So let's call this, I'm going to name mine Copyright Scenario. And so again, that's the name that will show up on the tabs when I open up this website. And I have the link to my external CSS style sheet. And so I still need to, I have my, this is my CSS style sheet. So I still need to refer to all the different style titles that I have in my style sheet. So I'm going to keep that background color, and in this this line of code here where I have the heading of my website, I'm going to be applying title text, and I'm going to call this Copyright Scenario. And then in this section, this is where I'm going to want to type up my the little explanation of my scenario. So I'm going to just put that in here, explanation of scenario. And then this is where my citations would go. I have my links ready to go in a Word document so I can put them in EasyBib to get the citation. But real quick, I just kind of want to see now where I'm at with this web page so far. So inside my copyright folder, looking at copyright scenario, open that up, and there we go. So I have my green background that I applied in my CSS external styles. I have my title applied, and I have my text applied. So to me that all looks kind of small, so I'm going to make some adjustments in my code here to make all that a little bigger. Okay, so after viewing my web page, I wasn't really liking where some of those what I had done with some of my styles. So I made some adjustments. I changed some colors and some font sizes. So now I'm going to go back and check out those changes and see if I like that look better. All right, here we go. That's a little better. So this is what I had before. Didn't really like it, so I went back in, changed a couple of my styles. Still not really sold on that font, so I might go back and change that later, but that's good enough to get me started. So now I'm going to go back into my code and kind of type up my scenario here, and then if you remember in the instructions we also have to include an image, because we're talking about a situation where we decide if the use of an image falls under fair use or if it's copyright infringement. So I'm going to go ahead, I have that cupcake image saved, so I'm going to link that image onto this page and type up my scenario. Okay, so I typed in my scenario under where I applied the paragraph style, and then closed that paragraph, and then underneath my paragraph I inserted my cupcake image. And so you'll see that I had to go back out a folder because I was inside, this HTML document is inside the copyright folder. I had to back out of that and go into Unit 3, so that's what those two dots represent. Then I went inside the images folder and grabbed my colorful cupcakes JPEG. And I told it to align center. So let's save that and see what that looks like. Pull that up. Oh, there we go. And you'll notice that my center alignment's not working. Let's go back and check that out. So I'm going to go back to my code. So I'm wondering if let's take align, oh, first of all, I spelled it wrong, it looks like. Let's take align center out of there and throw it at the beginning. Just throw a center tag on there. See if that works. There we go. So that centers, so you'll notice that center tag centers anything following it. So maybe you want your code centered, maybe you don't. If you only want this image centered, you would want to put a close center tag on the other end of it, and that tells your website to stop centering after this picture. So you'll notice on this page it's centered because I did not close the center tag. This next page, it's not, the citation's not centered because I ended up closing that centered tag. So that's kind of personal preference, whatever you want to do. I might just go ahead and leave it centered. So another thing after looking at my page that I'm not really liking is how spread across my page this text is. And so because I haven't set any real constraints on it, it's going to just kind of spread out across the entire page. So what I'm going to have to do is I'll just throw together a table real quick, and that will kind of constrain that text and make it look a little nicer, give it a little nicer layout on my page. So I'm going to go back to my code here, and I'm going to just kind of put all of this in a table so that it lays out a little nicer. So I'm going to start above where my copyright scenario is. So this is going to be a real simple table. I just want one big long column with 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, it looks like. So I'm going to add in the code here for my table. So I added in the code to get my table started, and now I need to say, okay, my first row, and in the first cell of my first row, I want to have this copyright scenario title, and I can close off that first row. In my second row, I want to have my paragraph show up. So I need to say, okay, in the first cell of this row, I want this paragraph, and then that's it. Close that cell, and close that row. The next row, and the first cell of the next row, I want to have this image, and then close that up, and close that row. And then in the last row, first cell, I want to have my citations. And we'll close that up. So really simple to just kind of throw in a table real quick. Let's see how that looks. File, save, go back to my folder. And there we go. Oh, so I have it all set up nicely in my table, but now I have my table off alignment. So let's go back to my code. Alright, so you'll see I have table width. I made the table 700 pixels wide. I didn't want a border. And I have a line. Oh, first of all, I spelled line wrong. I have everything within my table centered. So you'll see that my table is centered, or actually maybe that's what threw it off. Let's try that. Go back to my folder. There we go. So that's what I had done. I misspelled a line for the second time. So by spelling a line correctly, that center aligned everything very nicely on my page. Okay, so I know on this, my scenario page, I'm going to need to make a link to my solution page. I haven't finished my solution page yet, but I do have it created. Let's go back to my folder here. So it's called Copyright Solution. So I need to make a link on my scenario page in order to link to the solution to my problem. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is close off this table. I already have that set up and I don't want to mess with it anymore. But I'm going to start a new table in order to include my links. So I'm just going to copy this, code up here, paste it back down here. And so I'm just going to make a new little table to put my links in. And I'm going to have like, let's go ahead and make this just one row, but I want 3 different cells. And in my first cell, I'm going to have a link to, so just a heads up, we're going to need to link back to our portfolio page eventually. I'm going to go ahead and get that link going. And in the next cell, I'll just leave open for now. But in the third cell, I'm going to put a link that goes to my solution page. Then end that row and end that table. Okay, so let's just, I kind of threw that together real quick, so let's just see if that's even, if I'm even on the right track here with where I want this to go. Okay, so I have my first table with all my scenario information, and then yeah, this looks pretty good, except I want to align this left. So I want people to have this below and have the option to either go back to my main page or go onto the scenario page. So, and I'm actually going to add some space between my tables with that line break code. And let's say that I want this cell to align, and I keep spelling align wrong, align right. And let's see if that makes it look a little better. There we go. So I have my portfolio. I'm going to link this so it goes back to my portfolio page, and I'm going to link this solution to go to my solution page. So let's go ahead and add in those links. And I can't remember all of the link code off the top of my head, so I'm going to go back to my portfolio folder. And I know in my original index file I put a lot of different links in there. So I'm going to actually open up the code of that page to find what I need for links. So here we go. I have the ahref, that's the link code followed by that closing link tag. So I'm going to copy this code just to kind of help me with getting started and put that in front of my portfolio. Now I have to make sure that I'm going into the right folders, because right now I am inside my copyright folder, inside my Unit 3 folder, inside my portfolio folder. So I'm going to leave this up here so I can kind of see it. So I need to go back. That'll take me back into my Unit 3 folder. Then I need to go back into my portfolio folder, and I need to grab my index.html file. And don't forget the close link tag. File save. Let's see what that looks like. So now you'll see that is linked. So if I click on my portfolio, there we go. That takes me back to my portfolio page. And we're eventually going to have to set up this copyright button, but I don't have that set up quite yet. So let's go on the back area to go back to this page. And then I need to set up my solution link to go to my solution page. So I'm going to again copy this link code, paste it in front of my solution text, and now let's make sure we have the right file path to go to our solution page. So my solution page is actually in the same folder as my copyright scenario page, so I can delete all that stuff, get me back out of folders, and this one I just need to say go to copyright solution page .html, and we should be good. Now keep in mind I don't have anything on my copyright solution page set up, but we should still be able to see something on our copyright scenario page. So here's my portfolio link, here's my solution link, and that's my solution page. I don't have anything set up yet, but we saved it with the CSS styles that we created. So now we're going to have to move on to that solution page. So I'm going to go into my solution notepad and start doing some work in this one. So you should already kind of know some of the adjustments you're going to need to make. I'm going to change the title to Copyright Solution. I'm probably going to set it up in the same type of table that I had my copyright scenario in. So I'm actually going to copy, I think I'll just start in that body span class, copy all of this and my second table. So I'm going to copy both tables and paste that into here just to kind of get me started, and then I'll go through and make my changes. So I know this is going to be my copyright solution page. This is where I'm going to type up the answer to my solution. I'm going to still keep that colorful cupcakes image on there, but now I need to, I'll need to be citing my different sources here as well. So I'm going to pause this while I make all of these adjustments, which you should know how to make by now, and we'll come back and check it all out. Okay, so I just got done putting in my information for my solution for fair use and applying it to my situation. And I kept the image source of the cupcake, and then down below I still have that link to the image, and then I have my links to my citations for my fair use explanation. So let's go ahead and save this and keep our fingers crossed and see if it works. So it's my copyright solution page, and there we go. So I have my solution explanation, and I have my image, and I have my citations. I still have my link to go back to my portfolio page, which works, but now since I copied this from my copyright scenario page, I have this solution link. So now I need to change that link to go to my scenario page. So I'm going to find that link below, and instead of solution, maybe the person wants to go back to the scenario. That way they have the option to either go back to the scenario or back to my portfolio page. And I'm going to have to change this to copyright_scenario. I'll save that, go back to my folder. And let's see if that takes me, there we go, back to my scenario. So we should be good to go. Okay, let's double back to our assignment instructions, make sure we got everything. We have a folder named copyright, we have our images placed, and so if you used, I kind of used the cupcake images that I already had. If you use different images, make sure they're in this images folder inside your copyright folder. And that you're linking to them correctly, because if you have them in there, you won't need to do that backup code that I used. Both pages have the same CSS style from our external CSS page. We have some narrative where we set up the scene. Second page has narrative on what the person should do in regards to copyright. We got supported our answer with research. We cited our sources. On our second page, we link from the situation page to the correct answer on page 2. We link back to the situation page from page 2 with that solution and back to scenario links. We included one appropriate image on each page. We wrote a citation for each image used on page 2. Made a link from our portfolio project. Oh, okay. So our portfolio to this project. We haven't done that yet. So on your portfolio, let's go ahead and open up that index assignment. Open with Notepad. So now we need to, here's what our portfolio page looks like. So now we need to activate our copyright button and link that to our copyright page. So I need to find, here's my copyright button. I'm going to go to my previous notebook to get the hyperlink text here. And I'm going to paste that in front of my, oh, I guess I could have just grabbed it up here. However you get your copyright text for your code, just do it correctly. So I need this to link to my copyright scenario HTML page, which now I need to figure out the correct file path. So my index is in my portfolio folder. So I need to go inside my Unit 3 folder, inside copyright, and there you should be able to grab it. So I need to set that up. So I'm in portfolio. I need to go into Unit 3, into copyright, and then grab the copyright scenario HTML. So let's save that and make sure that that link works correctly. So reopen our portfolio page, click on our copyright button, and there we go. This links back to our portfolio page now. So we should be good to go. Let's backtrack one more time to our instructions. 2 points extra credit if you make your page titles in flaming or cool text. That would be pretty cool. So your page titles, like for copyright scenario and copyright solution, go make some titles using that cooltext.com website. And it would also be really cool if you made nice buttons instead of just plain links for your My Portfolio and Solution pages. So jazz this page up. You guys have the tools now. You should know how to be able to do that, how to save them, how to insert them correctly. If you're not sure, go back to previous videos and watch those parts over again. View your pages in your browser, make sure they look the way you want. Zip your entire portfolio folder and submit. So you're going to need to zip your entire portfolio folder in order for all the links to all your different pages and all your images in order for that to work. So attach your zipped portfolio folder to the copyright website assignment Dropbox and you'll be good to go.